What's happening, bro? How you feeling?
What's going on, my brother? How you feeling?
I'm good. I was actually texting Nikki. I was like, where's Luke? What's going on with him? What's he doing? But you're here and you're on point.
I'm on time. I was on here listening to the young lady talk. And I was listening to the brother talk about the entertainment and the 50 Cent on the chair. So I've been here.
Listen, I'm sure you've thrown a chair in your career. I'm sure you've thrown a chair at somebody.
Yes, I've thrown quite a few chairs.
Right. So it's just something that we do. It's something that happens. It's no big deal. I look at 50 Cent throwing a chair like I think of 50 Cent just saying fuck you. Like that. It's the same thing to me. So with that being said, let's start here. I am looking for my notes, and all of a sudden, as soon as you get here, my computer crashes. So hold on, let me just go and see if I can get my computer back up. Nikki just hit me and said, Scoop, he's there. Okay, I got it, Nikki, I got it. So let's start here, man. You are an icon. You are a political activist to me. You are a trendsetter, a trailblazer, everything, man. You've done a little bit of everything. I don't care whether you have the title or not. You are the mayor of Miami. Uncle Luke, what else is there to say about you, man? You've been doing this for a long, long time, brother. First and foremost, I want to thank you for coming on the show. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm great, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me. I'm always tuned in, checking you out. You know, you have some very interesting people on and some interesting topics, but you let the people know. So, I just appreciate being on here.
I definitely appreciate it. Tiana! Hold on one second, Luke. Tiana, I need you to bring me my laptop. My computer just failed. I don't know if it's you, Luke, but my computer just failed. I don't know. Out of nowhere, it just failed. It's over. So let's start here. I'm just going to have to do it from my head, man. How did you get involved with the Two Live Crew? What was the story behind that?
Well, the story behind that was, I was a promoter. I was I was probably the biggest DJ in Miami. I started off DJing, and we used to do parties. We would bring down artists. We was like the first group to bring down hip hop artists from New York as well as California. I brought down Mantronics. I brought down Tila Rock. I brought down Original Concept. You name it, Jazzy J. You name it, the whole 9 yards. And then we started bringing down groups from Cali. And so Two Live Crew was on this record label named Macola Records. And they came down, just like every other group that came down that I brought down to perform at the skating rinks where we would be having parties at, or the beach parties or something like that. They all had the same story. They weren't getting paid by the record company. And so, they had a distribution deal with this company called Macola Records, which every group in Cali was signed up, whether it was NWA or you name it, they all were signed up to Macola Records, but it was more like a distribution type situation. And them dudes was like, hey man, we trying to do our own thing. We trying to do some records. So I immediately tried to shop them around. And when I shopped them around, ain't nobody wanted them. I ain't had no aspiration to be in the music business, but I just wanted to be a big time promoter, go from DJ to promoting. And once people start saying no, they ain't want to be bothered with them. Then I just took it upon myself and say fuck it. I'm gonna just go and put the record out myself, not knowing what I was doing.
And just did it like that. So for me, I didn't know that they came from California. I had no idea. Was Brother Marquise from California too, or just one of them?
Well, the thing is, they were in the military. Two of them was in the military. Two Live Crew was originally Yuri Velot, Mr. Mix, which is David Hobbs, and Chris Wong Wong. Chris Wong Wong is from New York. David Hobbs is from San Bernardino. And Yuri Velot, which he did conscience music. If you look at the first Two Live Crew single, one side of it was beatbox and the other side of it was revolution. And the two rappers did two different things. And as far as Brother Marquise, Brother Marquise came after Yuri Vlock got out of the group. So when the group, linked up with me, I was like, you can't be just like everybody else. It's too difficult to get in the game like that. So we just started doing Miami bass and sampling Dolomite and Lyrical Skillet and all them. And Yuri did not want to be a part of that. So Yuri was like, "Yo, I'm a conscious rapper. I don't vibe with the explicit lyrics. Basically never heard of it. And same thing. Like I say, Chris was from New York, and then Marquise was from upstate New York, but he was living in Alabama. And so when Yuri got out of the group, Mr. Mix made a suggestion to bring Brother Marquise in the group.
Now, you did major numbers back then. You did it all out of your trunk. Do you think it would be easier or harder to do what you were doing back then now with streaming and all of that?
I think it would be easier right now because of the streaming. I mean, the streaming gives you an opportunity. Like for instance, I'm jumping back in the music business. As far as developing new artists, and so going back into anything, you got to do a little bit of research. And the research that I've been doing, with some of these major companies, guys who used to work for me, now they're VPs and presidents. And I'm like, yo, what's the deal now? And it's more like, okay, TikTok is a major force. If you got, a couple million hits on TikTok, 5 million or something like that on Instagram, those are the people that these folks look at. But, so they basically told me, what's going on right now is no developing of an artist. It's all, if you're a hit on Instagram, then you're a hit. They sign you up, give you a bunch of money, but they still don't know how to develop the artist. So I think you can still do it better, because if you know how to develop an artist, you develop them through the social platform, and it allows you to go through the world. Even though back then we were selling records, and I was doing it different than everybody because I manufactured and I distributed the music myself. I went down to the pressing plant, pressed the record up, sold it to the distributor. The distributor sold it to the stores and the one stops, and we were basically getting all the money versus a percentage of the money. And so the difference is now, back then you would have to go to Medium, which I'm pretty sure you've been to, where you had to go cut your worldwide deals and things like that. Or you go to New Music Seminar and cut you some worldwide international deals. Now you're automatically international when you put a record out on, on whatever platform it is, automatically goes through, all these different streaming services, and as well as these sales, it goes worldwide right now. So, I think, you can still do it. Back then we broke in because we were doing something totally different. We were doing explicit lyrics, and pretty much nobody really heard of that. And then nobody heard of the girls getting on the videos, dancing at the beach, and the album covers with girls at the beach, and we laying down in the sand. So it was a lot different.
Now, and that was going to be my second question. Did you know what you were really doing? Or was this just kind of you having fun times and just enjoying yourself? Or did you have an actual plan to sell sex and explicit lyrics?
Yeah, it was a plan. Everything was planned out because, again, keep in mind, I'm the guy that's bringing down all the hip hop artists. So I'm the guy who's introducing Miami to hip hop, because at the time, when I DJ, we were playing, you name it. We were playing Earth, Wind and Fire and Herbie Hancock and stuff like that. There wasn't no such thing as hip hop back then. So we started introducing everybody to hip hop, and at the same time, I'm bringing these guys down. So I'm analyzing the business. I'm analyzing the fact that, New York is where it's at. That's hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And so now, if you're a guy coming from the South, which there was no such thing as hip hop in the South at all. If you're going to be into this business from the South standpoint, you know, you would have to do something different. Yeah, all right. Our music is a little faster. We as a DJ, you tend to speed the record up, and you add some reggae into it. And you sped up everything to at least 130 beats a minute, and most records was 90 beats a minute. And so we sped it up. And so I said, okay, if we're gonna do music from Miami, it's gonna have to have a lot of bass in it because that's our DJ thing. You had to have a lot of bass, and then the music has to be fast, at least 120 beats to 130 beats a minute. So we did that, and then now the difference between us and KRS-One and anybody, we gotta do something different. The concept gotta be different. So me and Mr. Mix linked up and say, okay, we both had a love for comedy, black comedy. You know, Leroy Skillet, Honest, Dolomite, and all those folks. So we didn't say, okay, instead of sampling James Brown, we're gonna sample Dolomite and Leroy Skillet and Unester and all these curse words, and that's what we did. We did that on these 130 beats a minute songs, and on top of it, dances are incorporated into it. So, you know, my DJ group was Ghetto Style DJs, and every weekend we would create a dance, and so like one of the dances was throw the dick, and so the guys would throw the D, and then the girls would throw the P. And then we had Ghetto Nasty. So we had Ghetto Jump. So the first record we made was Throw the D, describing the actual dance, and people start vibing to it. And before you know, it became a big hit. And kids came from down here, took it back to their colleges, and then they turned people on to it. Like, this is what we listening to in Miami. The rest was history.
Listen, Throw That D was a hit in New York. I don't know if you know that, but it was a hit in New York, and of course Doodoo Brown and all that, and, the videos, and it just went to somewhere else. But I want to move forward to Move Something, because Move Something was the album that kind of got you noticed by them people. You got you noticed by them. Is it true that somebody was actually arrested for selling a copy of that album? Or
yes,
was
it that album. Was it Nasty As It Wanna Be? Nasty As It Wanna Be. A gentleman named Mr. Friedman, he owned a record store in Broward County. And then the sheriff came in and told him, look, you can't sell this record because it's deemed obscene, which the album was deemed obscene. And he sold it anyway. He was like, nah, I'm gonna sell it anyway. You know, I don't care. It's a free country. So they locked him up, put him in jail. He eventually got out, and the same thing with us. When they deemed the record obscene by the federal judge, Gonzalez, we went and I said the same thing. Fuck it. We're going to go perform the record in Broward County and go to jail because, we feel like that it was in violation of our free speech, which eventually we ended up going to get the record, going to get the ban of the record overturned. And so that's why if we would have left it on the books and we didn't fight it, then everything that you hear right now, guys cussing in the record, then that would have been actually a violation of the law because it would have been precedent set and it would have still been on the books, from the federal standpoint, and then that would trickle down to the states, or any rapper would have got on there, start singing about using cuss words, then their record could have got banned. So I thought it was important to get that off so people can be able to do what they're doing right now today.
Okay, so now at the point that you go and do the record and get arrested, are you saying are you taking it as a joke, or are you what are you thinking in your mind? Are you saying this is a joke, or you starting to take it serious, like they on my back? What was going through your mind?
What was going through my mind? I mean, it was like, I always said that I was like, if anybody is prepared for this, it's me, because of how I grew up. My dad Jamaican and my mom Bahamian, and her people's, it's always politics talking in the house. So I kind of was raised around politics and Black history, and so I kind of, knew that, look, it ain't really, you know, it's more of it's a lot of things that's got something to do with what's going on. And so when the good folks came at me, I was like, you know, look, I'm making too much money. You know, my uncle always told me, you know, when a black man make too much money in this country and he has a voice and he's not controlled by the white man, at the end of the day, you know, they're going to try to shut that black man up. And normally they use the court system to try to take all his money in the court. And so I was kind of prepared for the controversy, you know, because I looked at it, and when it went on, it was like, you know, they got Andrew Dice Clay saying worse stuff than we're saying, you know, in the records that was done before us, the Leroy Skillet, the Dolomites, the Red Fox, all that stuff like that. That was already put out before us. So if you're going to ban something, you would ban that right then. So, you know, we weren't affiliated with nobody, you know, as far as no major record label, anybody that could back us or anything like that. So, you know, I knew it was coming on different fronts, you know, and they used explicit lyrics as a way to try to get at us. But then at the same time, you had hip hop at that time was now crossing over into the white neighborhoods and the white households and things like that.
So do you think the motivation to arrest you, the motivation to shut this down is because there were people that were not from the hood that were starting to dance and twerk and do all that kind of stuff? Is that why you think they got at you?
Yeah, I mean, when you see, it was you know, right at that time, Run DMC and everybody else was crossing over. So then now you have these white families, you know, parents like, why y'all playing this black music? You know, and at the same time, you know, now you have us come through there with all this explicit lyric in the hip hop music, you know, and so now this is going in the house, you know, and so the, you know, white parents, you know, start freaking out, sending letters, and then what ended up happening is you had Tipper Gore, Al Gore's wife, who ran for president. She created this list, put me, Ice Cube, some rock and roll artists on there, Nirvana. She created this list to ban all of us. So she went through all these, you know, different, you know, Christian coalitions to try and get us banned. So then when we went to a different city, you know, they would mess with us. So at the end of the day, you know, I was the right guy, you know, because I already know my history and I know how the system actually works when it comes to a black man being able to have the same rights as a white man.
Now, people, just so you understand, all of the twerking that you're doing, all the booty shaking you're doing, all of that comes from that man right there. He was really the first to kind of break twerking and doing basically what people do in a strip club on records and for everybody to see. So if you twerk or you drop down and get your ego on or whatever you do in the club, thank him for that. Thank him for that. Now, of course, this whole situation was political. Who was this move ordered by? Was it ordered by the governor? Was it maybe a suggestion from the president? Where do you think it really came from? I know you said Tipper Gore, but where do you really think that the initial thing came from?
Well, the initial thing came from, it was a combination of a couple things, right? Because you had the music industry, number one. So you gotta remember, I'm selling 1 million records out of the trunk of my car, you know, and then I bought a little skating ring where we DJ'd on the weekends, and it was the office in the day. So now I'm taking away sales from the music industry right now, and I'm not affiliated with anybody. So you had that push of, man, he's taking sales away from us that we would normally sell on another artist, and who was he with? So you had a push from that end. Then you had a push from, like I say, the Tipper Gores and the Focus on the Family, who were able to reach the governor, you know, of Florida at the time, and the sheriff of Broward County, Nick Navarro, and the president, the vice president, Dan Quayle. So when you look at these stories, you'll see Dan Quayle making a comment about the 2 Live Crew. Oh, that should be banned. You'll see you know, the Governor Martinez, and we actually made a song about him, like "Fuck Martinez," you know, made a song about him. So you had the governor coming after us. Then you had all these state attorneys around the country. So it was a big, big movement. I mean, it was to the point where, you know, I had a license to use Luke Skywalker records and not use the character Luke Skywalker. And then George Lucas actually reneged on that, and he sued me. I had to pay him like $500,000 and another couple $100,000 in attorney's fees. And it was all based on these organizations pushing him. Hey, look, how you let him use the name and all these different things. And so, you know, it was coming from everywhere. But the main thing was the fact that hip hop was transferring, it was crossing over into these white households, and these white folks did not want it. You know, and I say the music industry itself, you know, the music industry traditionally gives money to Democratic Party. And so, you know, they're giving millions of dollars to these folks, and they like, hey, look, you got to stop this dude here because he's changing the whole scope of the music business.
You know, and this is something I say to all my people that are on all the time. They know me to say this. People who are politicians do not work for voters. They work for donors. So usually if you want to come in and make a change, if it's a new guy that doesn't know anything, maybe he works for the voters, maybe somebody who's fresh in the business. But anybody who's seasoned, they work for the donors. So now you go to court. What is your defense in court? What do you use as your defense? Because you got away, you were exonerated. So what did you use?
Well, it's two cases. I mean, we had two cases, and people are more familiar with the case, the Supreme Court case. It was Acuff Rhodes versus Luther Campbell. That was a parody, and that case was whether parody was protected by the First Amendment or not. And so that was the song we did, Pretty Woman. We did a parody, and we ended up going through all these district courts of appeal. Then we ended up at the Supreme Court. Again, spent a lot of money because, again, that was a case about hip hop. It was about, you know, whether or not parody was protected by the First Amendment. It was about hip hop because everybody from Weird Al Yankovic to Bobby Jimmy, you name it, they was already doing parodies. They do parodies every Saturday Night Live. That's a parody.
Right.
So all of a sudden, you know, we became the poster boy for parodies, and I'm getting sued. So again, I looked at it as an attack on hip hop, and then we eventually ended up winning the case in the Supreme Court, which took us all the way there, which is a very difficult thing to do, is win in the Supreme Court, especially when you got a guy named Clarence Thomas. All of his controversy, one of his first cases that he heard was our case. And then now one of the judges who's is in the Supreme Court bench, she was actually one of my lawyers in the case. So the other case again was the banning of the Nasty They Want to Be, and that was based on the actual lyrics. You know, so it was coming from everywhere. Whether these guys can do parody, whether, you know, we want to attack the parody part of it, we want to attack the lyrics, we want to attack every artistical thing that you can imagine from a hip hop perspective or a record. And I mean, I guess to answer your question, it was, you know, we use a test on all the cases, a Miller test. You know, and a Miller test is a 3-pronged test, and that test is there any strip clubs? Is there any adult bookstores? Is there any adult video store? Is there any other music like that in the vicinity of where this record, where this music is being banned at? And so we were able to show that easy. Playboy Channel, adult bookstore right down the street from the courthouse, Andrew Dice Clay. And so we were able to win that case because that let people know this is a part of society. And so that Miller test was able to help us win the case and prevail.
When you did Nasty as I Wanna Be cover, when I saw that cover, the first thing I said was, I just remember looking, I was Who gave you the idea to do that? Whose idea was it to do that? And do you think that that's the thing that pissed them off?
Well, let me tell you, back then, you know, again, you know, everything I came up with, was I'm showing you what we do in Miami. You know what I'm saying? You know, I go to New York. Back then you had stickers on the trains and breakdancing and these type of things, and that's what you did in New York. You know, you did a little bit of, you know, Philly, everything up north. So I was like, okay, we're gonna be all Miami. And so this is what we do. You know, girls go to the beach. We hang out on the beach. Everybody's basically half naked, you know, around here to other people who are not at the beach on a regular basis. So I was like, okay, you know what? We're going to do an album cover. We're all going to lay down. The girl's going to have a thong on, which is natural around here. But I know somebody in Boise, Idaho, or somebody in, you know, somewhere else, they're like, oh, be like, oh, shit. And so the ideal, because, again, you know, I'm doing this on my own. I can't compete with the majors. But how can I compete is with the appearance. So we're going back to the business and the concept. And question that you asked me, yeah, I put the covers, I made the covers real edgy because I know I'm not gonna be able to inspect in Downtown Records. I'm not gonna Peaches. I'm not gonna be able to get that big banner because they got Fatman Scoop record label and bought the whole fucking record store, and he's all over the place. He got the big stand-ups and all that. I can't really afford that. But then I gotta make sure I have a cover that when they go in the store to go get the new Fatman Scoop album, because they did all this big promotion around it and everybody's lined up to go in the store, and I made sure the title was somewhere similar to whatever the new release was. So my record would actually sit next to that record that everybody's going to buy. So then when you walk by, you looking for Fatman Scoop album, but then you like, oh shit.
Here it is.
And then you grab it and you turn it over and you look at the titles, and the titles are like, hey, we want some pussy. Face down, ass up. Put it in the buck. And then you looking at the titles like, oh shit. I got my Fatman Scoop, but I gotta get this right here. Right. I gotta come back for that joint.
I got to come back and get it. Ed Reed, what's going on? Bryant McKinney, what's going on? Of course, we got like football players in here, and you know, I know you know Ed Reed. I know you know Bryant McKinney. I'm going to talk about your coaching later on. Here's where you go into the Hall of Fame automatically to me. You are the first group, the first album to ever have parental advisory sticker on it. Was that your idea? Did the government put it on you? What happened? How did it take place?
Well, what I did, I created this sticker, and the reason why I created the sticker and how I came up, because again, the music, we know we was doing explicit lyrics, and we know the intent was not to for kids to get it. I didn't want kids to get the records. You know, we on there talking about throw the dick and all that, and so you know, we was getting letters from PTAs and all these different families and saying, you know, all these different schools and organizations saying my kids getting the record. You know, what can you do? So I thought about what they do at the movies. And, you know, at the movies, they have a parental advisory sticker saying this movie is not for nobody under 17. So I took that kind of concept. And then I took that concept and I created the sticker based on what I saw in the movies. And so that's why you got that sticker. And then I said, you know what, I'm going to put the sticker on the record and let the record stores know that the record contains explicit lyrics. So we then put the sticker on the record, created it, put it on the record. Then we call all the record stores because, again, you know, I'm different than everybody else. You know, most people say they're a record company, but they're not really a record company, because a record company is when you manufacture and you distribute it and you're marketing and you're radio promotion and you're doing all these different things. So I'm everything. I'm the distributor, the manufacturer, and all that. So I create the album covers and put what I want to put on the cover. So and then I have a staff of people calling record stores at the same time. So what we did, we said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to create 2 different versions of the song. So we basically started that too. Most people don't realize that. I was like, I'm just trying to be proactive. Let's do a clean version and a dirty version. And the clean version is what you hear on the radio, and the dirty version is what they hear in the club. So we put clean, dirty, and then we put the sticker on it, and we told all the record stores, hey, look, this is what the deal is. Don't sell the kids this. And no different than you're not selling a kid a beer or a pack of cigarettes or something like that, because they was already accustomed to doing that.
Now, my question is, since you created that sticker, does the record industry now pay you, for the use of that artwork, or because you're the one who created it? Shouldn't you be getting a little something off that?
I should. Back then, I was just moving fast. I didn't even patent the thing. I should have patented it. I should have handled my business and made sure that I, copywriting it and patenting it and all. And so basically, no, I don't get any revenue from it. People just use it. I guess it's probably considered now as intellectual property, like everything else around here.
Well, and people, again, the reason why I actually went through the entire chronological order of what he's done, you have to understand the man is a trailblazer. The things that he has done changed in music. It changed music. It didn't just change hip hop, it changed music. Now, a rock group has to have parental advisory on it. A reggae group, parental advisory. Freedom of speech, all these different things. So now you turn around and you start running for mayor. I wanted that to happen so bad. I was so wanting you to be mayor. Why did it not work?
Why did it not work? Well, the thing is, let me tell you, in Miami, it's a heavy Cuban population, and Latino population here, and I was running in a special election, and I looked at it and I said, you know what? It's a win-win situation, and why is it a win-win situation? Is because I'll create a base of voters. If I lose, if I lose, then I lose. But then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be able to educate everybody in different communities when I go do debates with other candidates about the struggles and the issues of the African American community and the things that we want in our community. So that's a win for me to go into Bell Harbor, Little Havana, Little Russia, and explain to them like, hey, look, black people don't want nothing for free. I want your vote, but at the same time, we all live in Miami together, and what happens in Liberty City or Overtown, and what happens in Bell Harbor, all that affects all of us at the end of the day, because that flash on CNN is a whole bunch of murders in Miami, no different than what happens in Chicago. So I was able to talk to those people, but then at the same time build a voters base, build a base of people, of constituents that if I'm not the king, I damn sure could be the king maker. So right now, I'm every time it's an election for mayor, when they poll, I poll anywhere from 1 or 2, because I was able to get that serious base of people and that continuous base of people. And then to this day, right now, every candidate, whether they run for mayor, commission, they ask for my endorsement, because my base of people are young, black, white, green, purple. They're consistent about voting. So like yesterday, if you saw my Instagram, I endorsed Mayor Suarez after Commissioner Suarez to be the next mayor. The race starts August 18th, but at the same time, I'm gonna have to endorse other candidates, whether it's the state attorney and other commissioners, because that base of voters, the moms and the dads who depend on, who ain't got time to look at the news or who ain't got time to go to City Hall or vet these candidates, they depend on me vetting them and giving them the best advice.
Now, Did the DNC ever come to you? Did they ever come to you and say, "Listen, we want to work with you," or they never touched you? What was the story with that?
Well, I mean, they've came to me a couple times, but you know, I try to stay away from party affiliation. You know, I'm a card carrying Democrat, yeah. You know, but at the same time, you know, I look at it like this. You know, I look at it like this, and you know, I saw your interview with the young lady, and I posted right while you were doing it. Uh, uh, I try to stay away from party affiliation because I think you know, neither party has did anything for the African American people. You know, it's like we need to just don't get caught up in what mama want us to do, but then at the end of the day, look at each candidate and look at the candidate and say, yeah, this person, I'm feeling this person is gonna do the right thing for black people, for our community. I mean, it ain't no brown and yellow and all kind of colors when it comes to me. You know, it's what you gonna do for black people, because we've been left aside and we've been left out to dry on so many situations. So, you know, when I look at the different parties, I'm looking at the best candidate, the best person who I trust that's going to do the right thing, you know, for African Americans, you know, for our communities, because again, you know, we don't look for no handout. We looking for the playing field to be even, and we haven't been getting that, you know. And I look at it from that standpoint. So when I go out, you know, I don't ask a person, you know, are they a Republican, are they a Democrat? You know, I ask them a series of different questions, and then I look at what their track record was, what you have been doing. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's, you know, especially when it comes to local politics. The national stuff, I mean, when it comes to the president, it's obvious. I don't, me and anybody else in the world that's, you know, that's screwed on tight. You know, we wouldn't be messing with no Trump. You know, Biden. You know, he's he's a great. He's it's just like Hillary. He's better than what we have. You know, right now. You know, and so I look at it from that standpoint. But local politics is the most important, and I want people to know that you got to be involved with the local politics, because that affects the schools that your kids are going to. That affects your property taxes. That affects your parks, the businesses, what businesses are coming in, what businesses going out. And then some places you got to vote for the sheriff, and some places you got the mayor picks the sheriff, and then you got judges. You know, we always talk about, you know, not getting the fair treatment inside in the courthouse. Well, you got to vote for these judges. You can't be, you know, lame to the fact that some of these people control our destiny.
You know, and people, I'll be the first to say I follow Luke, and I watch a lot of stuff that he does, and that was going to be my question. He answered it. Local politics. He did a post yesterday or the day before about local politics and why it's important and breaking it down. You may not be able to influence things on the big scale, on the macro, but where you live is very important. And Killer Mike came on here and said the same thing. And I wanna back up what he said. Where you are is what you can be directly involved with. So if you don't like the prosecutor and he's done things you don't like, get somebody to run against him. If you don't like what the judge did, make sure the judge is not in there. And those are the things that we can fix. So knowing Miami as an insider, what does Miami really need help with, in your opinion?
Miami needs help from the standpoint. You know, it's, you know, like I did a post the other day. I got upset when I saw Diddy and Queen Latifah and Khaled and these guys and girls, you know, and I love all them, I love them to death. But then I saw them like basically endorse a candidate in Miami, you know, and I love the lady to death too. She's great. But then, you know, I told them, and I tell everybody, if Scoop want my support on a candidate in New York, I'm gonna call. If I want to endorse a candidate, if a candidate stepped to me from New York and say, Luke, I want your support, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call Scoop. I'm gonna call up somebody that lives in New York to say, hey, look, you know, who is this guy? What is this guy all about? Before I jump on something because everybody else is jumping on it because of some Hollywood move. Because at the end of the day, that candidate, if that candidate ain't experienced enough, then that candidate can hurt the district that you're serving, you know, because they're not experienced enough. And I would want to know that. And so, you know, when you ask the question, I mean, what we need good leadership. And the best part about it right now, we have some bright people that's running, and and we have a commissioner, a young guy that came out of my youth program, which is our 30th year. Uh, he's a sitting commissioner, sitting in Miami, and now he's going to the county. We need him to win. We need this other young lady who's running for state attorney. You know, and again, people don't realize everybody want the cop to get put in jail or the cop to get charged. And you need to understand that most cities, there's a state attorney race, and you have to vote for the state attorney. If you get the wrong state attorney in, then that person won't press charges on the cops. It's not like Law and Order. You know, those people run for office, and so, you know, you have that race, and you know, you got an African American qualified woman running against the young lady that's been in there for 27 years, and a lot of things been going on. So a lot of black folks as well as white folks, you know, rallying up to get behind this young lady named Melba. But we just, you know, for us, you know, in Miami, it's just a matter of getting new government in place, which we're going to get because a lot of people turned out. Got some great candidates. And then at the same time, the state needs to pass the law to give tax credits for the entertainment industry, movie industry, so we can compete with places like Atlanta as far as getting some of those movie dollars and putting some studios here at the same time to be able to have African Americans here income go up, because the average income for African Americans in Miami is $21,000, and if you bring the industry here, then that average income probably end up going up to about $50,000.
Now, people, again, the reason that I brought Luke on here is because he drops gems. And I want you to clearly listen to what he's saying. And I'm going to put this back up for rebroadcast so you can hear everything he said. Go back and listen to it because, again, who you vote for is going to dictate if something goes wrong, what the response is going to be. So if you vote for somebody and you voting and you don't know who you're voting for, you vote for a state attorney that's really not down for you, when something goes wrong, you can't go to that state attorney. But if you vote somebody in that you know is fair, right, and just, when that happens, you have a chance of getting more of an outcome that you wish to have. So that's just a note on that. You know, I wanted to ask you, because again, like I said, I look at your Instagram all the time. Where do you think this country took a turn for the worse? Is there a time? Is there a situation? Is there an event that took this country and just turned it in like a crazy direction?
Well, the country been going in my opinion, it's been going in a bad direction for years. You know, it just, you know, my uncle always told me. He said, you know, my great uncle, he was like, yeah, we was enslaved. We came out of slavery into what we in right now, discrimination, which we are separated from everybody. And he would tell me, he say, well, in your generation, they're gonna put them invisible chains on you. He was like, they're gonna make you think that you are free, but you're not necessarily gonna be free. You know what I'm saying? So he would then say, but at the end of the day, the guys who, the black man and black woman who's free, then they're gonna be woke. And if you woke, then they could never put them chains on you. So you gotta be asleep in order for them to put the chains on you. So for the longest, we have been used as a people. You know, we have been used and abused as a people. They've always picked certain people, African Americans, out of the group, and they created our leaders. They created our leaders after Malcolm and Martin and H. Rap Brown and all those brothers. They created our leaders using the media platform. They said, this guy is your leader. And they posted them all over TV and gave them all the great awards. And, you know, you didn't know that you were actually being programmed to saying that this guy's your leader. So they made our leaders, whether it was in the music industry, whether it was in the television industry, you name it, whether political industry, they manufactured our leaders. So with them manufacturing our leaders, they were able to use those individuals to suppress our message as well as suppress our community. So when you have a situation like